Okay, greetings everyone. This is the Artcasters number 56, and I am here with, I'm Scott Serkland, by the way, and I am here with Jeff Lafferty.
Hey everybody.
And Kevin Cross. Did we lose him?
Is it gone already?
Nope, right here.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought the YouTube video was muted, but it wasn't, and it threw me off. Hey everybody, I'm Kevin. Welcome to the show.
All right, so today, this is all, we're kind of doing a topic that I'm not really sure any of us are really all that familiar with, but it is something I'm interested in and something I've thought about. So we're going to talk a little bit about art licensing. And just, again, keep in mind that we're not the most experienced with this, but I thought it would be good, kind of a roundtable discussion and everything, something to talk about. But it was kind of sparked by an email that I got by Joe Perugino. And if you guys don't know him, he's like drawn to be wild on the internet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he's got a property that he created called the Zoms, and he's got some other stuff that he's trying to market and everything like that. So I won't go the whole email, but he does say some nice stuff about the Artcaster show and everything and how inspiring it is and all that. So that's good to hear. But anyway, so he says, one topic you guys haven't touched on yet that I'm curious about, how come you never tried licensing your artwork like Jim Benton or Mary Englebright, for lack of a better example? Am I the only one crazy enough to attempt this route? The comic I've been working on, the Zoms, actually came out of the fact that I was trying to license characters and keep getting the response. There's nothing to back them up. No TV show, no books, etc. So that's where the comic book came from, a vehicle to drive the license. I even pitched the idea to Cartoon Network a while ago to get a cartoon deal from them. I actually had an agent and tried to license my art. I just felt like the easiest way to make my art work for me. When the agent wasn't successful licensing the Zoms, I came up with Cheat Death, a line of artwork I'm calling the modern day Jolly Roger. So I've seen that. So basically it was kind of like a Skull and Crossbones, but he had like different versions of it. Like, so for like golfing, it would be like the crossbones would be like golf clubs and different things kind of in that. And it did look marketable, so we'll see, if he has any luck with that. But yeah, so as far as I definitely have always wanted to license my artwork, and I've had a couple, I've dipped my toes a few times in licensing things, and it didn't turn out too great for me. I can go back into that later, but the reason why I haven't really pursued it is pretty much what Joe said in his email. It's that I really don't think that I have that kind of a following yet. I don't have, it's any of whether it's Young and the Dead or anything else that I've created. It just doesn't have that name recognition, because the reason why people license artwork is because they're kind of hoping to tap into that fan base of like an established brand. I don't know, like everyone knows like Donald Duck, right? So if you slap him on a carton of orange juice, do they still make Donald Duck orange juice? I don't know. Yeah, you guys remember that though, Donald Duck orange juice?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so but it like gives it this instant credibility, but that's because people already know Donald Duck, and so, but people don't know any of my creations or anything yet. So it was kind of I think that would be kind of putting the cart before the horse.
So is that, can I ask a question then? So like that's what he means, I guess, like the overall thing of like licensing is like, so you have characters and then companies would come to you and want to put your character on their stuff.
Right, or vice versa, or you would seek out people to license your stuff. And there's other ways to go about. It's not there's character licensing or like product license, or not product, but like brand licensing, like characters from cartoons or TVs, movies, everyone knows. But then there's also licensing like for like bedspreads and that kind of stuff that you don't really, that kind of thing you don't really need to have an established, character. You just need a look that's attractive that people will purchase, because they don't need to be, that's kind of like, oh, that's kind of a cool wallpaper. That's a cool, shower curtain or something like that. Like more textile stuff. So, I mean, there's that kind of route. Like a lot of children's illustrators kind of get into that, even if it's not like a character. It's just more of a style that's marketable,
So like the two names he mentioned in the thing, like I only recognize the Englebright lady.
Yeah.
She's like the one who does the cards, right?
Yeah, Mary Englebright. She's kind of, she's in a, like, I guess it's more like she does like a lot of stuff for like cross stitching, and like it's very I don't know, it's like country, or if you've seen it, if you Google her, you'll probably know. And I mean, she's like all over as far as licensing. The Jim Benton guy, he does kind of like these very simplistic, kind of silly, like smiley cats. Like you'd probably notice it if you saw that one too. I had to kind of Google, but once I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that guy. But then there's other people like, there's like Thomas Kincaid, which, that guy that's like a cottage industry where he just like license. I think other people actually do some of his paintings and stuff like that.
Wait, he's dead.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, but see, that one's kind of an odd one, because at first I was thinking like Jeff's original paintings, and I'm like, because you kind of have to figure out how it would fit on a particular product, and I can see like patterns and things. But like a full like painting, like sure, you could slap it on a coffee mug or something, but would it really work? But then again, if Thomas Kincaid is like, because his are just landscapes. So I guess, there's calendars and everything. So I guess that kind of stuff, just full paintings would work too. But I don't know. But again, he's very established, and people know his stuff just by looking at it and all that. So. But I don't know. Have you guys ever looked into licensing or had any of your stuff licensed?
No.
Okay. But I mean, I think all of us probably have worked on licensed products, so we've been on the other end of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it freelance.
Yeah.
Gotten paid to work on properties. I mean, essentially, I'm sort of doing that right now at work.
Yeah.
A lot of established properties.
Yeah. I mean, like comics. Is comics the licensing part of it though, or is that just comics?
Not unless like, so when Kevin worked on his Marvel stuff, that was more licensing, because that wasn't the comics proper. That was because you worked on like, what was the name of like the kid versions? What was that called?
Superhero Squad.
So that was like, they had a toy line, and they had like, I think you worked on trading cards, right?
Worked on some trading cards that were essentially kind of like, like Magic the Gathering kind of thing, but it tied into some online game that I never saw, so I don't even know if it came out. Plus, I did storyboarding for some Xbox and PlayStation games that did come out. That property. Yeah.
But so where the comic would be kind of, I don't know if the comic wouldn't be considered licensing, I don't think, because that's the source, but any ancillary kind of merchandise or anything like that would be considered licensing. Mm-hmm. So, a company would probably go to Marvel and say, hey, I don't know if, I don't know who developed the Supergirl Squad, if that was Marvel in-house, or if a toy company came and said, we want to do, versions of the Marvel superheroes, but for like preschoolers and kids and things like that. And then, develop it from there. But do any of you guys follow Steven Silver on YouTube?
A little bit.
Okay. Subscribe to his channel.
Yeah. So he put out a video of him going to the licensing expo. Did you see that video?
No.
It was really cool. Yeah. So it's basically just him kind of walking around this expo that they have every year in Las Vegas. And I guess you can attend it for free. It doesn't cost anything to go to it. Now, it's not like a convention. Like, there's not like cosplayers and stuff. I think they probably have like corporate mascots or toy mascots walking around, but it's all like the huge brand. I mean, everything you could possibly think of, from, Angry Birds to Hello Kitty to Looney Tunes. I mean, any kind of, intellectual property you can think of, it's like there, and they've all got booths. But he was just kind of going there just to kind of check everything out. Now I did some research, and I guess you can exhibit at this, or like you can get a booth there. There's a thing that they have called the launch pad for like first timers. And based on what I heard, it's a good idea, like to do like what Steven Silver did and go to this show and kind of check it out and see what it's all about. But if you wanted to like bring a booth, build a booth, they do have this program like called Launchpad. But it's still even that introductory thing, because again, these are like the big time, brands, But even for independent people, like, it's still like almost like a couple grand to exhibit there. So, but if you happen to be around the Vegas area, I thought about, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, Vegas isn't too far. I'd like to go there just to check this out, because it's kind of similar. I went to way back in the days when I created a children's book property along with a partner, and we were shopping it around. And there's another show called NatP, and I forgot what that acronym stands for, but it's basically where everyone goes to buy and sell television shows. And it was kind of reminding me of that a lot, but with that show, it was all like you see their booths for all the new television shows coming out and stuff. And it's basically just these wheelers and dealers, and the video is real cool. I think it's like, I wrote it down. It's Steven Silver Art Talk number 79. So if you Google that, I'd watch it, because you can kind of see and basically his point was, because there's a lot of people, even as artists and me, and a lot of people were just like, it's so hard to sell art. But he was kind of making the point that all these people, these are just business people. They don't know anything about art. They just know what's popular, what sells, and what they could slap on a product. And it's like a multi-billion-dollar business. Just to give artists the idea, to let them know that, yeah, this is something, there is ways to make money at. Everything you see everywhere you go has art in it, whether it's a cereal box or a lunch box or whatever. So he was just kind of making the point that, yeah, there's big money in this. So you just kind of have to know where to look and everything. But it was a real interesting video. So yeah, I would suggest you subscribe to his channel anyway, because it's pretty awesome. He's got a lot of good information and everything. So. But
I was just noticing in the chat, Karen
I saw that, yeah.
She said that one of my abstract paintings is licensed to a German company, and they made rugs. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's the thing. If you have work that's marketable, I'm curious if they kind of found her, or I just read the next thing. Yeah. So that's awesome if people find you. So my limited experience with licensing, a couple of things. One of them did not turn out very well for me. The other one was all right. It didn't make me a lot of money, but so I had back when because I'm in Arizona, so back when the Arizona Diamondbacks came here, they were just a bunch of entrepreneurs looking to use that license to create products. So I was hired to design. So they had you know how baseballs are, how they've got the two stitching that kind of overlap and everything like that.
Yeah.
Well, the idea was to create a baseball that had like diamondback skin, like snake skin on one side, and then the other one would have like the logo and everything like that. So I designed the snake skin and everything like that. And it was kind of one of these crazy deals where I had a contract with one guy, but the contract that I had with that guy, he was supposedly partners with another guy, and that guy's contract, I don't know, whatever, they had a falling out. So because I only had the contract with the one guy, it all fell apart. So I didn't make any money off of that deal.
That was a bummer.
I don't know how many they sold, but they did that design on the balls, and then I forgot what other things they had. They had like those Thirst Buster mugs and a bunch of stuff. I used to have them all, but I think I gave it to a friend or something. But so that was one thing that I did. So, and then the other one, a while back, I did this series called Fairy Tale Fatales, which were just like, and now I've seen more stuff like this. So it's not, I mean, back when I did, I don't think there's as much of this, but it was basically like fairy tale princesses just kicking ass, you know, Cinderella. And like, I had one, it was Snow White, and she had like a pickaxe, and there was a big rock with, and you could see the witch's like hand with the apple in her hand, like under the rock. And there was one of Sleeping Beauty slaying the dragon, and another one of Cinderella with like a busted broomstick, and in the background you see a pumpkin with like the legs of like her stepsister inside the pumpkin. So just stuff like that. And I did basically all the you know, the classic, you know, fairy tale characters. So I got approached to somebody who wanted to license those for rubber stamps, which it was kind of one of those things where I kind of moved on from that stuff. You know, that was when I was starting to get more into the circ work stuff, and I kind of know the direction that I wanted to go to. So that wasn't really anything I was doing anything. It was kind of just sitting there. So the deal wasn't great, but I only gave them a limited deal for just the stamps. You know, they couldn't use it on anything else. So it's like, what's the chance of somebody else coming to me wanting to do stamps? So I'm like, you know, whatever. Yeah. So it was an okay deal, but I didn't make that much money off of it, but it was something that, you know, that I didn't mind giving up those limited rights just for that, because for one, I wasn't doing anything with, and two, you know, I could still, if something else came along, if I could still use that design on other things, which is usually, I mean, as far as that's how licensing works. And it's kind of any kind of, you know, I know you guys have done like freelance illustration. So like when you write up a contract, usually with illustration, you only sell like certain rights, you know, or not sell, but, you know, grant certain rights for them to use it. Say, this is just for print, or this is just for, you know, or you can make it, you know, television rights or all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of the same with licensing, you know. So of course, with licensing, you want to try to attach like a royalty to it. So whether you get an advance, it's kind of like children's books. You've worked in children's books, right, Kevin?
Yeah, a little bit for a few years.
So it's similar. I mean, you would get in advance, and if the product is successful enough to make more money than whatever that advance they gave you, then you start getting royalties. So licensing is kind of the same way as far as I understand it. Like I said, I never got to the point where it made the stamps made enough money to make royalties. But the good thing is, if any of you guys don't know, the industry that, like my day job, that's what I design right now, is I design these rubber stamps. So that actually really helped me, because of when I went into that interview, I was like, yeah, I've already done this, you know, and I just brought the stamps and showed them, and they were pretty impressed by that, because not a lot of people have had experience doing that, you know. So that was, you know, it turned out to be kind of a good thing. So, but anyway, that's kind of my limited experience with licensing and stuff. And I just noticed that Joe actually wrote the emails in the chat. So, hey, Joe.
Yeah. I never had it, you know, anybody want to put my stuff on anything, but the one thing that is kind of like what you're talking about is I've had people want to use like old pictures on their stuff every now and then. Like I remember I had this X-Files piece, and like there used to be this X-Files like fan magazine that wanted to use it, and they paid me like $50 or something. It always seems like it's so low, you know, like somebody will find something off DeviantArt and they'll just offer me something to use it on whatever they're doing.
Right.
And I don't know. I figure like, you know, it's just found money. So usually I just do it for whatever the heck they want to, you know, unless they want it for free or something.
Right.
But even then I might do it just because I figure they're nice enough to ask rather than just steal it.
Yeah. Well, there has been times when people have come to me wanting to use my, you know, artwork on certain things. And sometimes I turned them down. Sometimes I didn't. Like there was one guy, so I've got a print called Rocket Surgery Institute. It's basically, it's these two rocket surgeons working on a rocket, and it says Rocket Surgery Institute, and it says enroll today and everything. So I had one guy, he first of all, I don't think he did approach me, he didn't ask, but I don't think he wanted to offer any money. And so he was a commercial pilot, and I'm pretty sure commercial pilots make a decent amount of money. But I guess it was some kind of labor dispute, and he wanted to kind of use it in like this derogatory way, where it was like whoever the dispute was against was like, the union or whatever it was, whoever they were against. I guess they had called them as a derogatory term. They called them rocket surgeons. So he wanted to kind of use my artwork in that way. And I'm like, first, I don't want it to be used in that context. And he showed me this mock-up that he did. Like, if you let me use it, it'll look like this. And it was so bad. I'm like, dude, no. And if he didn't want to, I mean, I could have redesigned it if I did want him to use it, I could have redesigned it for him. But again, I don't think he was interested in paying me. But then somebody else came to me with that same, for that same design, and it also had kind of a logo attached to it. There's like a little crest that says Rocket Surgery Institute, and it's kind of almost like a logo along with the actual like illustrated print and everything. But they wanted this was a couple that are getting married. She was a rocket scientist. He was not a brain surgeon, but I think he was some kind of a surgeon or something, because the whole idea is it's not brain surgery, it's not rocket surgery. So, but anyway, so they were getting married, and they wanted to use it on like their, I don't know, their invitations, and I found that people that are getting married, especially people that are, rocket surgeons or rocket scientists and surgeons who have some money, are willing to spend money on a wedding, and quite a bit. So they didn't have any problem paying me and licensing. And actually, I actually convinced them to, well, you can use this design on more than your stationery. You can put it on your napkins. You can put it on all this stuff. So I mean, that was kind of a good deal based on the same thing. So there's one design where two different people approached me with different ideas, and so I guess that's sort of licensing, but it's almost like a one-time thing. Once the wedding's over, it's over. But again, you're only selling like a limited, limited usage rights to that type of thing. Yeah. So, but
it almost seems a little bit, which I'm sure there's a better way to do it than this, but a little bit like like going on Redbubble and cranking out some.
It can be.
And bumper stickers and underwear and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you've got a big enough following, and there are people that just have tons of stuff on Redbubble and tons of people wanting it, and if you're like, because I make about $4 every time I sell a shirt on Redbubble, and I've only got one design that really sells. I used to have two, but one had, one was pulled because it was like an Admiral Akbar spoof or something, so that one got pulled. But the one that I sell that continually sells it's called How to Kill Monsters, and it's basically just a chart, like a big poster, kind of t-shirt. Well, it's a t-shirt design too, but it's just all the different classic monsters, for everything from Godzilla to the Terminator but I've done it in such a way that hopefully I'm not really infringing on any copyright, because I use generic terms for everything, I don't say like Wolfman, I'll say werewolf, and different things like that. So it's very graphic. So I think one of the reasons why people find it is because in the searches there's so many different keywords like Dracula, and of course, again, I don't say, well, I don't know, is Dracula? I think Dracula's public domain, but anyway. Yes. But yeah. So anyway, so all those different keywords, people tend to find it. So, but I sell, I don't sell a lot of them, but it's $4 here, $4 there. But if you have enough of those designs, I mean, you can make good money on it. But I'm not sure if I guess it's still sort of licensing, kind of.
Well, I mean,
yeah, sort of.
They're really calling it licensing. I just meant like,
Yeah. But it's, at least for me, it's kind of a hard nut to crack, because it's just, you know, like I said, I had probably 8 different designs, which I thought were kind of funny, a lot of them, but like only one really sells. So it's just getting, now I haven't, in saying that, I haven't really marketed it myself at all. You know, it's just basically people stumbling upon it. So if you're more proactive and you go out and market it, and let people know, hey, I've got this design on Redbubble, then you can probably be a little more successful with that, I think.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, it might be like if, I guess Joe was his name, you know, like if he was trying to, you know, get other people, which maybe that's just not what he wants to do, but like if he's trying to put like, you know, make characters that would fit on different products. I mean, maybe that would be a place where he could actually just go straight to that, you know, if he thought it would really work on products. I don't know.
I think his idea, oh shit, my brush, I just messed up my brush. Anyway, maybe I won't be doing any painting. I think his idea originally was he wanted something along the lines of like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like he's got like the 3, I think there's 3 main zombies, and they've got different characteristics and stuff. So, you know, something that could be toys and all that kind of stuff. And, but, you know, I think he shopped it around, like he said, and, you know, there wasn't anything behind it. So that's when he kind of went into the comic. And to me, it's kind of like, it kind of got a weird, to me, I guess I approach things a little different than he does, because I'm kind of the opinion that, you know, for me, the comic's the main thing, because I'm a comic guy. And if it so happens that it becomes successful and you know, people want to license it, that's fine. But I don't want to really create a comic just to, you know, hopefully it become a licensed product or something, you know.
Well, I do think a lot of people do that though. Like they do a comic trying to make it a movie deal or something.
And I think it is probably the best way to go about it, because comic books you can kind of get your point across, and it's you know, it's not.
It's like the perfect way to lay out like your stories and ideas and all that stuff.
It doesn't cost as much time is involved and as difficult it is kind of creating comics. It's nothing like having to, you know, produce like a mini movie or a trailer or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would definitely, you know, and that's kind of the one thing we always, even with comics, is recommend, just kind of do your own thing, you know, and then, you know, somebody might discover you from that, rather than maybe, you know, just trying to break into comics the old-fashioned way. But,
nah, just screw that breaking in stuff. Just do it yourself.
Yeah. Well, you look at webcomics.
You're promoting, not me.
Yeah. But I was just going back to some of the. There were some comments. String Cheese said he thinks he had that baseball at one time. I think he's in Arizona too, so it's likely he did. Yeah, so I don't know how many they had out there that I didn't make any money off of. I try not to think about it. But what was I going to say? I was going to say there was. And then somebody mentioned that Steven Silver also has a Kickstarter. Is it still going? I know I did contribute to it, but he's got like a character design one. And little off topic, but since I was just talking about Kickstarters, I wanted to, because I know you guys are fans, Jeff and Kevin. Did you know that Bernie Wrightson has a Kickstarter out?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's so, you know, his Cycle of the Werewolf, and I totally forgot that he even did this. But, you know, Cycle of the Werewolf he did with Stephen King. It was what the movie Silver Bullet was based on. Are you familiar with that?
Did he do like a graphic novel? Because I do have like a Stephen King and him collaboration thing.
Yeah, he did a graphic novel. But what was interesting that I didn't know about, that they explained in the Kickstarter video, was that it was originally pitched to Stephen King as a calendar, because Wrightson was like, well, this is the perfect idea for a calendar, is to use, and this, I'm going to wrap this back around to licensing, but to, because of the Cycle of the Werewolf. That's why it was called that, I think, because here you've got a calendar and, you know, you've got different stages of the moon and everything. So it's like the perfect property to do a calendar. But what happened was there was some kind of deal that Stephen King had with whatever licensors he had or whatever, I guess this other company or whatever was the only one that could do a calendar of any Stephen King stuff. So they couldn't do the calendar, and so they did the graphic novel instead. But the Kickstarter, as part of it, and I think it might be a higher tier, but they're actually doing, I guess either the time had run out on whatever licensing that other company had or whatever, but I guess they're, in addition to prints of all the illustrations, they're going to actually release it like it was intended as a calendar, which sounds really cool. But I think that was a pretty high tier for that particular one, because there was one that came in like a wooden box and everything like that. But definitely cool stuff. But and like I said, I wanted to kind of bring that back around to licensing. So it's, like I said, I mean, that seemed like the perfect thing for a calendar, is the idea of a werewolf. So I mean, you kind of got these, this idea of does your art fit the project? Because you can, I mean, there's kind of general and there's specific ways of licensing your product. I mean, you could be more general and just, well, we've got a character, let's just throw it on a lunchbox, we'll throw it on stickers, we'll throw it on all this stuff, throw it on phone cases or whatever, it'll work with anything. But then, there's certain things that are a little more specific that cater so well to a particular product. Like, I didn't realize this, but there's actually there's a Popeye brand spinach out there.
Yeah.
You guys, yeah. So I mean, it's like a no-brainer. I mean, who else would you have to advertise your spinach other than Popeye? So so there's certain things that just fit perfectly. Another one that I don't know, they had to have done this, but I don't remember or seen. But have like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ever like endorsed? Have they ever used them to like endorse like a pizza restaurant or a pizza chain? Because I don't know that I've ever seen that, but it's like, if that hasn't happened, I'm like, come on, guys, that's like the perfect thing.
Well, they used to.
Go ahead.
They had Nintendo, and they had their video game. I don't remember which one, but it came with a Pizza Hut coupon, and also in the game was a Pizza Hut like ad on the wall. Because it's going through, you'd see Pizza Hut over and over. They didn't do a whole lot of backgrounds, a lot of scrolling backgrounds.
Yeah, so I guess they have done that, but I just don't remember seeing it. But yeah, I mean, so there's certain things that just like perfectly fit like a product, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just natural. But
so who's got more money, Steven Silver or Bernie Wrightson on their Kickstarter? I want to know. I'm rooting for Bernie Wrightson.
Well, Steven Silver's has been out for way longer. I mean, I'm not even sure if he's still going, because I contributed. It seemed like a little while ago that I contributed to his. So, but Wrightson his was only up for like, it said 28 days when I looked at it today, and it was already, I think it was a $10,000 goal. It was already at least like 50 or 60,000 at least, but with 28 days to go. So,
jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think Wrightson's popular, but like something with Stephen King on it too.
Yeah, and I don't know how that worked, because they basically, the Kickstarter is basically all attached to Bernie Wrightson. He's partnering with I've heard of these guys. It's what was it called, Nakatomi, and I assume that's in reference to the Nakatomi Plaza from Die Hard. But they do like pop culture stuff. I think they're kind of like similar to like Mondo, and they do a lot of licensing. But those are, that's another thing. Like, so these, you're familiar with like the gig posters and the movie posters like Mondo and stuff like that. I mean, that's pretty much their whole business, is licensing movie posters and making these cool movie posters, because movie posters nowadays pretty much suck otherwise.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Forgot where I was going with that.
Well, that's kind of like another form of licensing. They're just doing it a little different direction.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. So yeah, so the Kickstarter, it mentions Stephen King, but I guess Wrightson must just own the artwork, and maybe That's you know what, now that I think about it, because they weren't I don't think they were selling the story, which I'm sure Stephen King owns the story, and I'm sure Wrightson owns the artwork, so that's why they're selling prints and the calendar, because there's no story attached. So I think that's how he can kind of do it without really Stephen King being, you know, in on it so much, I'm guessing. That's
interesting. Yeah. Okay.
That didn't really occur to me until now, because I was thinking of, because it was like they mentioned Stephen King, but it didn't sound like he really had much, if anything, to get out of the project. So that must be what it is.
Yeah, maybe they were just given the backstory, and he's part of the backstory. So that's interesting.
Oh, okay. Peter says that Steven Silver's is about to end on his Kickstarter, but so I haven't checked back, but you know, I get the updates and everything. So, but I think he's pretty cool character designer. If you guys aren't familiar, I don't know if you guys. I'm trying to think. He did. I think Steven Silver designed like Danny Phantom and Kim Possible, and he did the characters designs, I think, for those shows, I think. So if you know that, you kind of know kind of what his style looks like.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, neither of us are really that experienced in you know, licensing and everything, but that's a lot of what I know. But I did, Holly Brown says that he also did the Clerks animated show, which I've got on DVD, and it's like awesome. But yeah, those are cool characters. But yeah, he does a lot of cool character designs. So, but there's if you guys are, I think it's like anything else. It's something you really have to, you know, invest your time and your effort into it. I mean, there's just so many ways to kind of market your artwork, and licensing is just one of those ways. And you've got to do the work. I mean, you've got to, you know, there's from what, you know, there's, as far as how to do it, I mean, there are trade shows. There's like the one that I said, like the Licensing Expo. There's another one, what was it? I wrote it down. Let's see. Let's see. What was it called? I don't know. I wrote it down. It was like, I'll have to look for it. But it's called Surtex, Surtex.
Surtex?
Surtex, yeah. And
that's like somebody ripping you off, dude. Surtex, Serkland.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, so that one's in New York, and that one's a little different. That one is more along the lines of like the textile stuff, like more like children's book illustrations, less brands like cartoons and things that everyone knows. More kind of artist based and more like patterns and things like that. But there's that show, and I think that's the one you can kind of exhibit it too. But you know, that's the kind of stuff that I think can kind of stand alone on its own without having to be attached to a character, as long as it looks good and people are attracted to it and it's marketable and you can put it on a bedspread or whatever.
I remember I met this lady in Boulder a while ago who was an illustrator, and she was going to some trade show. I don't remember the name, but she did a lot of stuff like where she wasn't famous at all or anything, but she showed me some of the stuff that she would pitch or whatever to like these companies, and it was like she'd do a thing of like milk cows, and then it would be like a milk cow playing baseball, a milk cow like catching a football, a milk cow whatever, and she would be trying to get the stuff like on bedspreads and stuff, you know what I mean? And then she'd have like a whole other line with, you know, whatever, turtles or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the more you mention that, I mean, there's like, I guess there weren't so much like licensed things, at least not for me. But I've been hired as an illustrator to do all kinds of stuff like that. Like I did this, it was so long ago. It was called a bear or something like that. But it was just these bears playing sports or something.
Yeah.
So I did all these designs for this thing, and I don't know if anything happened with that. But yeah, I mean, there's been tons of stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like stuff like cows and stuff. I mean, there's things like that, or even like, you know, think of Halloween or Christmas. I mean, wrapping paper, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, you can tap into something that has like, you know, that's public domain, like Santa Claus, and do your own version of Santa Claus and do your own patterns or whatever. I mean, and there you kind of get the best of both worlds, because you've got a character that's universally recognized, like Santa Claus, but he's in the public domain, so you can do whatever you want with him. And same things with some of the, you know, to a certain degree, what you can do with like a Frankenstein or just a ghost or anything like that for, like, you know, Halloween stuff. So that type of stuff, you don't need an established brand. I mean, you have these icons that everyone recognizes that are, you know, no one owns, that you can do your own take on and create patterns or create, you know, little illustrations or whatever. So, I mean, that may be a better way to go, you know, I don't know, you know, it's, you don't really own it, but I mean, you own the design that you create. So, but you know, that's not, I mean, I guess something like that could be evergreen, because you can just keep remarketing it.
Yeah, Christmas comes around every year.
Whereas, you know, with the character property, that could be too if it takes off. But it seems like that's kind of a harder, you know, way to go. But again, I mean, I think it just takes your time and your effort to put into it. And, you know, there's, as far as, you know, ways to, you know, go about that. I mean, there are these trade shows. There's specific agents that just deal with like licensed stuff. I don't know, like, did your agent ever, your children's book agent, did they ever look into, like, or mention anything about the possibility of licensing any of your designs to other things?
Yeah, but just about as much as you just said right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but there are agents for that and everything. And then there you can kind of, you know, do your own research. Like, I mean, any product that's out there, you can look and see who manufactured it, pick it up, and if it's got a design on it, and maybe, you know, go after, you know, do research the old-fashioned way and find out stuff like that. I don't know. So, again, I just haven't done that. I'm kind of like, to me, it's like, well, I want to do my thing, and if enough people, you know, my big thing is, I think for me, everything comes out of an audience. I think once you have that audience, then all that stuff will fall into place. So that's what I try to do, is I'm just trying to build the audience, and then I'll figure out that later, you know, if that happens, you know.
I think that's probably the way most of those things happen, you know, with the exception of like cows playing baseball and stuff. But I think with, like, you know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or whatever, you know, it's like you got to bring some success to the table so that, like, people want your stuff on their junk, you know.
Yeah. But one of the things that I did so there is a website. It's called Lima, or the organization is called Lima, Lima, and it's just licensing.org, and they've got a bunch of information about all that kind of stuff. So, you know, anything, if you want to do more research on licensing your products, more, you know. And there's, you know, obviously there's a lot of stuff on YouTube and everything like that. People that have actually done it and are successful in doing it. But one of the things that I heard, that as far as what you want, if you want your stuff, if you want to, you know, try to license your stuff, is that you need to have, like, kind of like a portfolio, but they mention terms of collections. So you want to have your different collections. So, like you said, this is my cow collection, you know, or whatever, farm collection. And then you would have a series, because it's just, you don't just want to approach them with one illustration. You want to have a series of illustrations that all tie in together so people can see. Another thing somebody mentioned was to create like a mock-up catalog to kind of show what you're, and this one I'm not really sure, because I you know, to me, I think people, you know, if they're if they're in the licensing business, I think they can look at your stuff and say this would look good on this or this. But I don't know. It might make sense to actually show your artwork on something else. On what it would look like on like a. I was going to say phone case, but that's just so easy. Anyone can do that. That's real simple. But I don't know, something a little more like, I don't know, maybe like dinner plates or something like that, or something like that.
Yeah.
So
I wonder, like, this is a little different, but like, because you can get everything made now. You know what I mean? You get your T-shirts,
yeah,
underwear, or whatever. Get your neckerchief made with your stuff on it. But like one thing, like I think it's kind of sort of like the holy grail for a lot of comic book guys is they want toys with their stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And there's like the shapeways, like the digital printing type things. But I mean, I wonder if there's anybody doing like action figures where you could like, you know what I mean? Personalize them to your own characters and stuff.
Yeah, I've actually seen people at conventions doing just that. The only problem is that they're
you mean like just one artist, or?
Yeah, it's like basically it's like I think they're marketing more to cosplayers. So like if you want if you want a figure of you in your costume, we can make that for you, but it gets kind of pricey. So it's not like something you could like turn around and resell. And I've got a friend who does kind of custom like figures and stuff, and he has to sell them for kind of a premium because there's so much time and everything involved.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking like kind of like almost the same sort of like cafe press kind of model, where they were like, somebody could knock a bunch out for you. You could put them online for sale or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's more and more of that because like Redbubble is more than shirts. Like right now, I mean, they do so many different things, and it just like ever growing. And again, a lot of it kind of depends how it's like. Some of it is more catered to like patterns and things because they've got like things like leggings and just like again, I think they do like shower curtains, all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah.
But like my stuff, which was designed for T-shirts, it's an illustration, so it's not gonna translate to like leggings or anything like that. But if you're designed specifically for that, I mean, they just do so many things now with this direct-to-garment printing. So, I mean, you just go to Redbubble and see all the different things they can print it on,
Yeah, I've been over there.
So,
one thing I saw that was weird, was kind of taken off on DeviantArt for a while, was like, I saw some people slapping like paintings of like, like the dwarves from the Hobbit, like they had like a couple of the dwarves are like good looking dwarves that all the girls like swoon over and stuff.
mm-hmm.
And they were making giant pillows of those guys and bedspreads.
Oh, like those old wrestler pillows that were shaped like the people?
No, they were just like shaped like a pillow. That would have been cooler.
Cuddle up with a dwarf.
Right. So you could get all like the 14-year-old girls going for that stuff.
Yeah, and that's kind of, to me, that's the stuff that, when I was talking about like original, how does your product, your artwork fit the product? And like that whole wrestling thing, like that was just like a perfect thing. Like I was never really into wrestling much, but the idea that you've got these big life-size pillows in the shape of your favorite, wrestler, and you can kind of wrestle with it and everything. I mean, those are the kind of cool ideas to me are always more intriguing than just, well, it's on the lunchbox. Even the lunchboxes are pretty cool, especially the old metal ones.
Yeah, I noticed in the chat, Punk Cat said, "I just wish I knew what sells. It's all very well licensing, but you have to make something people want."
Exactly.
Make something that you give a shit about, and then maybe it'll sell. Instead of worrying about what other people care about.
Yeah, because I got a message on my Facebook today saying you should do more anime stuff because anime artists are really popular and you'll get more followers that way.
Scott. That's your calling, man.
Yeah, Well, I mean, it is true, but then, you know, I kind of responded. I said, well, yeah, I mean, you're right, but, you know, I can also make a lot more money like selling porn comics or selling more fan art or something. And, you know, that's fine if that's what you want to do, but that's not my thing. And you gotta, you know, I think you have to be true to yourself and not just try to do something because you think it's good. I mean, I don't have a problem with people doing something because it'll sell. I mean, I've been plenty guilty of, you know, over promoting my stuff, but to me, I don't know. As an artist, I kind of want to do what I want to do, and hopefully there's other people out there that like it too. And you know, and it'll probably take a lot longer, but you know, that's my thing. And I do have some anime influences, mostly like giant robots and stuff like that. But and there is stuff out there, but that's not, you know, as a whole, that's not really the style that I want to do. You know, so even
let's take a pause to remember the wise words of Arthur Fonzarelli. You ain't nobody until you do what you want.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, I didn't mean to sound harsh if I did before, but it's
I like
this. I mean, I did in a way, but you know, tough love. If you're doing stuff just to sell, I don't know what it is about that, but like the universe just says F you. You know, if you start doing something you like and you plug away at it, then it seems like that's what starts working. You know, because it's stuff you care about, and that stuff comes through.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to look for the magic pill, you know, go get a day job if you need to and work on your, you know, whatever project at night. You know, and of course, like work on it, and you know, of course, you can dream about it making you money and stuff like that, and you keep plugging away, and you know, you're doing stuff you care about instead of worrying about like, oh, you know, that actor is whatever, the popular actor from Game of Thrones and Conan, the new Conan, he's Aquaman now. So, oh man, I got to start doing Aquaman stuff at conventions. Man, screw all that.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you, but I mean, as you can see, but again, that's why I struggle at these shows. I think now, you know.
I think that is kind of true, though. I think that people react to like when you have like a lot of passion and stuff.
Yeah.
And in your work, no matter what it is, whether you are drawing like Aquaman or whatever, if you're passionate about that, other people pick up on that. And I think like when you're not passionate about it, and you know you're doing like the, you know, number 54 Deadpool, and you can't stand that character, people also pick up on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm just saying this not to be like high and mighty. I've done this stuff, and I hate it. I feel bad about it. It's you know, it's made me feel like, why don't people like my stuff? Or, you know, like there's all kinds of baggage that comes with that, you know? And so now I think, you know, if you're going to do conventions or whatever, you might have a totally different opinion, especially Scott probably, because, you know, it seems like you're more versed in the conventions than me. But, like, I think when I start convention again, it's just going to be my stuff, and I'm going to go in knowing that it's at some sort of loss at first until it becomes like, you know, I'm the guy who does my stuff instead of I'm just some other dude who is doing, you know, whatever the superhero du jour or pop culture du jour is to get people to hopefully see my thing, you know, because those people aren't coming for my thing. They're coming for the trendy thing of the day. So you might as well do your own stuff and hopefully make your stuff the trendy thing of the day, you know, if you really care about it and you keep at it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you 100% on that. I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing, but it's hard because it seems like I just watched, you know, Gazbot had a video about him at Ape, and, you know, that's a convention that's specifically designed for original creations, and he was just saying how bad a show and how downhill it went. And like, I just don't think people are interested in discovering anything new. I think they want, you know, what marketers tell them that they're supposed to buy and what they see on TV, and, you know.
That's where it comes into where you got to tell them what to buy, because like at this point, it's like, you know, we've got Disney's got Star Wars, and there's going to be a Star Wars show on Netflix now, and there's going to be a movie every single year. You know, at some point, this thing that was really special to me as a kid is not going to feel that special anymore. You know, and it's an old property now. You know, it's like, I mean, I'm 45 now. I saw it when I was 6, the first one. You know, and so you know that's how old it is. And then you got Superman and Batman, and they're like, you know, 75 years old, and you know, Spider-Man's like 50 years old or something, and it's like it's time for something new. And so with all these like big companies buying out all the properties and everything, you know, it's like, hey, I love the Muppets, but you know, Disney owns the Muppets too. So it's not him. It's Jim Henson's not alive anymore, you know. And it's like it's time for something new, you know. So I think people are willing to accept the new thing. It just, you got to plug away at it. You can't expect it overnight, you know. I mean, I've fallen prey to that, or I can't even talk. I've been bummed out, you know. That's why I'm kind of like saying all this stuff, like maybe so harshly sounding, but it's like you gotta stick to it. You gotta stick it out and like become like Deadpool was a garbage character. He was a fucking garbage character. And then all of a sudden, different people are writing them, and they change. You know, while I was like on hiatus from reading the mainstream comics, they turned him into Ambush Bug basically, and all of a sudden he's you know, I still haven't read his comics, but I understand that he's funny and he's aware that he's in the comic. He's not a one-note character like he used to be, you know, and so I mean. Yeah, it's got like mainstreams behind it, but for so long he was considered a garbage character, and I'm pretty sure that even when like I heard like, oh yeah, they're changing him, no one I knew cared, because they were just like, oh, he's a garbage character, so it took a long time, you know. And then there's like, you know, I mean, there's like plenty of. Were you gonna say something?
No, I'm just listening.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, I just saying like. You know, maybe that was a bad example because it was mainstream, but there's like lots of examples of comics where they were around for a long time, and the creators ate shit sandwiches until, you know, and now all of a sudden they're like licensed for TV shows, and there's their indie properties and stuff, you know.
Mouse Guard is a good example.
My buddy Rick, he does like he is like really like eating some shit sandwiches, and now he's, you know, he's got like some great indie comics out that people love, and you know, things are happening. I guess I shouldn't say any more than that, but you know, it's and the reason why is because he stuck with his stuff. Yeah, he had to take other jobs. He had to do freelance stuff. He did stuff for the big two. He did stuff for not the big two, the others, you know, and but he plugged away at his own thing, and a rant over.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm right there with you, Kevin. I mean, it's like I am in it for the long haul, and I know it's not easy, but you know, I think it'll be so much sweeter when it happens, you know. But I kind of going back to, you know, I forget what started that, but like as far as like
I just started getting mad.
What you're talking about. What's that?
I said you forgot what started, and I was like, oh, it's just me starting to get mad.
No, it was. I think it was about, you had mentioned like passion, and so I mean, there are a lot of artists out there who aren't so passionate about anime, and that's awesome. But if I was to do that just because it's sold, I mean, I would just think of myself as just this poser, because it's not. That's not. I do like certain, like. I mean, I like things that are, I guess my thing is like sort of anime, kind of Eastern and Western together. Like there's a lot of artists that kind of mix those two, and that's kind of something that I really like sort of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love that stuff, but like for whatever reason, like other than, I don't even know if you would consider like, I don't know, it's like Spirited Away and stuff. Is that considered anime? I don't know.
Yeah, Miyazaki.
Yeah, so I mean,
yeah, so I mean,
there's certain stuff out there I like, but as a whole, you know, and my son's huge into anime, and he's showed me some stuff, and some of it I like, some of it it's just not for me. But I just not going to, if it doesn't resonate with me, why, there's plenty of other people that will do that and do it better. And I think if I tried to do that, I think people would see right through that. And like you said, people can tell what you're passionate about. It comes through, and I think eventually people feel that passion and they share that passion. And that's when your stuff, starts to get an audience.
Yeah, it's like when you kind of go, well, screw it, I don't, audience or not, this is what I do because I love it. Then it seems like when things start happening,
Yeah.
It's just like when you don't think, yeah. It's like every time, I don't know what it is, it's like every time like you're single or you need a job or something like that. It's like the moment that you kind of say, to hell with it,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I want or do things my way. Then that thing that you wanted all of a sudden appears, But then when you like really want it, oh, I want money. I want money for my comic. No one cares about your comic until you stop caring about the money.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Maybe that's me being a hippie dude, but it just seems like that's how things go.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
Nah, I've felt the same kind of thing, like when you're really, really trying for some reason.
Yeah.
It seems like it can happen, and then like once you like go, I don't give a shit anymore, then suddenly it happens, and you're like, what's the deal?
Yeah. And so like what I'm saying too is like don't stop giving a shit about your comic. It's stop chasing the money. Do the comic because you love comics, and then I think that's or whatever art it is, and I think then that's when. I think maybe I'm just reiterating what I said earlier, but that's where that's when like people start to notice and care too. So I don't know, kind of going around in a circle again. Sorry, everybody.
I don't know. I mean, I totally agree with it, but I'm also, because I do make my living doing art, it's like, it just, I don't know. It gives me that crazy cold feeling up my spine when I think about that, because, I know what people buy, and it's just fucking hard sometimes when you got to pay a bill to like be oh, screw everybody. I can fucking, this is going to work no matter what. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's not something I'm saying to like give up because, when I go to Portland, I'm going to be back to Portland. I'm going to be jobless again, and there's no art jobs like there are in LA, and so I'm going to be plugging away at my comic because it's what I want to do, but it's not the only way I can make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or I hope not, because right now it's gonna take a long time. But I've already we've already established ourselves for over a decade and a half of doing stuff. I guess I'm kind of talking to the person who's not hasn't been around as long, I guess.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So like at this point, we've made our business, but I see so many people and hear from so many people that get so like, well, how come I'm not making it? How come, and it's, so I guess I'm just talking to the entry level. That sounds shitty too.
No, that makes sense. And I think it's probably good for the old timers too, like me. I've gotten beaten down or whatever because like if I could go back and look at it like in a younger point of view, I would be like, don't waste your time on all this other stuff. Just go for what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like the advice I should be taking for now. You know what I mean? Not go homeless, but like every spare minute should be going after like what I want.
Yeah, and I mean, the reality is we do need to pay bills.
Yeah.
But, if you want to make something of your own art, it's like, it's such an easy trap to get caught not working on your own stuff. I what I mean?
Because you do see like what appears to be easy money, though I don't think it's really easy anywhere.
No, because you don't go anywhere. I mean, I'm saying this from experience. You just don't move, and I mean, maybe you can move like getting a better job for somebody else, but that's for me and you. That's not our end goal. So I just don't think you move. So yeah, you do have to make money. So that's why like something like 100 Days Making Comics comes in, or like your stop motion thing. That's, you want to do that, but you have to do commissions too. So, but at this point we've established ourselves a bit more than somebody who's 15 years younger. So but my point is, like, if you have to have a job, you have to have a job, and there's no honor lost in that at all. Just keep your eye on the prize, and while you're not making money, enjoy it and stop stressing about it. Because eventually, if you do make money, it's going to be stress, because there's going to be more people involved. Managers and CPAs, and like a team, and some company that's calling you to license it on some product that you hate, and you want it on this other product, or a product that you love, but that's still a pain in the butt, because there's a lot of legal stuff that goes into that. And so, I guess I'm just trying to say, for your own projects, don't worry about money as much, because I think the money follows eventually.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with you.
Yeah, and you never know really what's going to hit. You hear so many stories about, you're maybe working on a couple different ideas and things, and the thing that, you think is going to be successful maybe not work, but then something else you're doing does, and then and hopefully everything you're doing is still stuff you enjoy, but
that's a good reason not to be doing the stuff you don't enjoy, though, because that's exactly what I think can happen.
Yeah,
it's like that can hit, and then you're like stuck doing the one that you don't like.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, look at me as an example of the past year and a half or so, getting stuck doing the thing I didn't like. After I'd started doing the thing I really liked, and then getting kind of trapped like that. I mean, part of that's my fault, but so I'm saying this also. Maybe I'm getting mad also, or I'm not getting mad. I'm just being stern for myself as well as other people.
Sure.
Because I need to hear this too. I need reminders of it too all the time.
Yeah, and me too, for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely not trying to be on a high horse, and this is shit I need to hear.
Art therapy, Artcasters Art Therapy Hour.
That's right. I've discovered something about myself. I'm a better person all of a sudden.
Oh man, the chat's going
Yeah,
crazy.
I know.
I wonder how much hate mail I'm going to get for whatever I said. No, that's not how it is. You're a fucking asshole.
Yeah. You need to get in the real world, Kevin.
Stay at that job. And
it seems like maybe that's, I mean, like I notice with my own videos, it almost seems like anytime I say something I actually wanted to say, like when I actually can get it out right, that's when I get the hate. So
yeah,
maybe that's a good thing, because it's like you can almost gauge it. Like if you really like say something that you're passionate and you actually mean, it seems like that's what brings out like the freaking people that disagree.
Oh, totally. And like
just want to do that filler kind of video, then nobody gives a shit, I
was like that one guy that was on me about fan art. Like you're picking a fight with the wrong guy.
Yeah, then I realized, like, when I was talking about there needs to be something new, then I realized I picked the wrong character, like a corporate character. I know someone's going to say something about that. And I kind of get the point that I was getting at. That people are ready for new things. So there, I just like a joke, I just explained it.
Oh, you're talking about the Deadpool thing?
Yeah. I don't know. Give me hate. Whatever. Stay your day job.
No, I know what you were talking about.
I do think though that, I mean, you're right. It's like almost all the properties now that are popular are like freaking old characters. People are going to get to the point where they're sick of this stuff, and they're going to be looking for new stuff. And I actually do think that, like, if you're at a con and you're doing your own thing, you know, there is a market for that still. You know what I mean? I do think there's still people walking around looking for cool stuff. It's just, I don't know, like the whole culture of a con, you know, like there's so many people that are coming in that just, they don't care about comics and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know, did those people ever buy it from me anyway? You know what I mean? It's just like,
Right.
I still think that there's people walking around that want cool stuff, and I think it because, like, I'm one of them, you know? Like, when I go to a con, I'm not buying Deadpool prints. I'm looking for, like, something neat, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So,
Well, we just need more of those type of people.
well, I don't know if you're ever going to get more, though, you know?
Well, like you said, if people just get tired of all this stuff, I mean, and like kind of, I mean, I hate to live in a world where I'm tired of Star Wars, but if that new Rogue One trailer is any indication, I don't think I will because it looks awesome.
No, but I mean, me bringing that up is the odds are against us to like everything they do. You know what I mean?
I understand. I mean, once you know, when they're putting, you know, a movie out every single year, I mean, I do think it's gonna. I mean, I can't think of too many things like that just blow up that big and never crash. I mean, everything that goes up has to come down. So, and I think eventually, even though I don't particularly have superhero fatigue yet, but I mean, maybe a little, but I mean, I'm still seeing like cool stuff that I want to see in movies, and all the stuff that I wish they had when I was a kid is now coming around. So, you know, I'll be around for a while, but eventually, you know, I'm going to get tired of it, you know, but.
Yeah. And there's like a whole crop of kids that are like watching the stuff that are going to have their own take on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's another thing. Oh, sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is I think that's kind of what's happening now. You know, like those kids are making movies. And when I was a kid, like my dad's generation was making movies, a lot of Westerns and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
when we grew up, we were all about like, let's get Star Wars back. And it's like, you know, when those kids grow up, you know, it's going to be the same thing. I don't know what they're going to be into.
Well, I'm sure it'll be
the thing, but
I'm sure it'll be video games because think about it. I mean, no one's really made a good video game movie, but hardly anyone ever made a good comic book movie until now. It's gonna take until the people, you know, that video game generation is not that. I guess you could say. I mean, obviously there are video games around when I was a kid, so we could be part of that too. But I think
Mario Brothers game movie, that was great.
Okay. But yeah, but I mean, obviously it's got to be possible to make a good movie, and someone will come around that really loves it, and the studios will finally realize, hey, let this guy who loves this video game make the movie the way he wants to, and then and it'll be good because it's true to. It kind of goes back to what we were saying. You got to be true to what you love instead of, you know. Of course, sometimes there's outside influences making you change things, and that was the problem with superhero movies so long because, you know, the people producing them weren't superhero fans, and they wanted to change things around. And it's, you know, we're finding out the more you stay true to the comics, the more people like it, you know, and that translates to the average person as well, not just the super nerdy comic book fans.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I think that there's always room for like fresh new things.
Oh, no doubt.
So, you know, yeah, some of these corporate characters we're talking about, they're going to be around for another 75 years or whatever. There's going to be a whole new crop of kids that might like it. But what's kind of giving me hope too now is like things that are like really like, you know, important pop culture moments, you know, for me. You know, we're all the same age. So, you know, like growing up, finding that people who are adults now, I guess, like, you know, just a little younger than us, I guess the millennials, sorry everybody, You know, everyone hates to be called that if they are from that generation, but you know, I'll bring up some pop culture thing because some joke will come up, or I'll be able to make a joke out of something. And, like today, something came up. Like I heard this noise, and I was like, "Oh, that's like the $6 Million Man." Well, I work with a bunch of people who are, you know, 10 plus years younger than me, and they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" You know, I was like, "You don't know the $6 Million Man?"
No, that's such a great sound too. I know the sound you're talking about.
Yeah, and like, you know, it's just like that was big for us.
Yeah.
It's gone. You know.
Yeah,
maybe
$6 million isn't going to buy anything like that nowadays. So.
Right, but the point being, is the pop culture time is gone. I mean, maybe someone will find a way to reboot the property, and you know, you get a bunch of people younger, they'll think it's brand new. You know, it'll be like the $6 billion Man, probably, and then you know, and then might flop. You know, like I was excited for the Man from U.N.C.L.E. movie because. You know, when we were kids, we didn't have 500 channels. We had, you know, ABC, CBS, NBC, UHF, VHF, done. You know, 5 channels. And, you know, in UHF and VHF, oftentimes it was local programming where they just played reruns. Plus there was a writer's strike in the 70s. That's why a lot of us who were born in the 70s around that time grew up watching Hanna-Barbera from the 60s because we were just watching reruns, you know. Yeah. And so, yeah, I watched Man from U.N.C.L.E., you know. I think it was on after school for a while, and I got really into it. And then when the movie came out, I was so excited. And you know who saw that movie? Me. That's it.
Was it any good?
Yeah, I loved it.
And so it was because
they set it up for like a franchise or something. It seemed like, but no one cares but me. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. But a lot of times they'll try to update it so much that it's not the same thing. You know.
No, it took place in the '60s.
Oh, cool.
It took place in the '60s. The casting was great. It was too late. It's a movie that came too late. And so you know it's apparent to me that new things need to happen. There's a new generation that's having kids now, you know. And then there's some of us older dudes who still have young kids. You know, it's just time for something new. You know?
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's coming. It's just, you know, never seems to be coming fast enough.
People are going to fight it, and people in the comics, people are into comics sometimes I feel are some of the most self-defeating to get things ahead because...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because they just want to go to Target and buy the Batman shirt and the, you know, this and that, and you know, and then they complain about like Thor's got a beard now or Thor doesn't have a beard now. I mean, he didn't have a beard when I was into him, and now he's got his boots are different, and now he's a woman. Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd. It's just like, well, if you don't like the stuff, stop buying it, and also just I don't know. I don't know if I'm making my point, but yeah, I think it's time for something new, and I think the old way of thinking, you know, like this isn't like it was when I was a kid. Well, maybe it's not, and maybe it's time for that thing to die because you're not a kid anymore, and the kids don't care about that anymore. So it's time to start. You know what I mean? I'm being a real dick tonight, aren't I?
Just passionate.
Yeah. I guess I've been talking to a lot of people about comics lately, and we're all kind of seems like ready for something new. I don't need the nostalgia of, you know, these superheroes that are still around when I was a kid, because I can just get a back issue or something and feel that. So I don't know. I just want some progress.
If they take away the superhero movies, though,
I don't know. Like, what are they going to have movies of?
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean?
Independent new ideas. I mean, there was a time when there were new ideas in movies. I mean, all the stuff they're basing stuff on now was new at the time, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it seems like most of the rehashes are, like, I don't know when the entertainment industry is going to learn that, you know, like, oh, let's do one more rehash property, you know? Let's do you know, how many are hits out of how many get made, you know?
I don't know. I don't think they're gonna learn though, because it's just like, you know, like the Avengers. You know, there's too many hits right now. It's like I think that if anything, they're learning that, you know, like that's where the money is. You know,
Right? But I'm also including like Dukes of Hazzard and Starsky and Hutch and 21 Jump Street. Yeah, there's people who like those movies, but it's not like.
Yeah, they didn't work like the Avengers or whatever.
Yeah, they're not changing cinema.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, when you look at like the stuff that Like is doing, I mean, just this amazing, you know, original stuff and beautiful stuff, and they just aren't profiting like what, you know, like the talking animal movies and stuff, you know. It's just
yeah, they just need to start buying some licensed properties then, I guess.
Yeah. But there are animated movies that are original that do work though too, like the Pixar movies and stuff, like Up and stuff like that. So I don't know like why like I can't have a hit, but
yeah, I mean
it's probably possible.
They're good at making cult hits. Yeah. Which is, you know, it's cool because in the long term maybe that means something big, you know, because like Nightmare Before Christmas was a flop, and that's like that's just like a cultural phenomenon now, you know. It's like 20 some odd years later, and it's was a cult hit. Now it's, you know, I was at Disneyland a few weeks ago, and because they switched the Haunted Mansion over to the Night Before Christmas ride, all the merch, it's just like Jack Skellington merchandise everywhere, you know. And I'm just like, God, I remember wanting that when that movie came out because I loved it so much, but nobody saw it. You know, I saw it on the opening weekend, and I was on a date, a double date, and you know, we're the only 4 people in there, you know. And like, look at Iron Giant. I mean, people in the art world were like, this movie is a real tour de force, and the Art of Iron Giant just came out because everyone else is finally caught up, you know.
Yeah, I did see Iron Giant in the theater, and I still have the comic book that came with it when I went to the theater to get me free comics. So
I don't have that, but I have the movie poster.
Yeah, I've also got the toy, which they didn't have a lot of toys of. But,
well, I don't have that.
You got plenty of cool stuff like that. But you did bring it back to licensing, though, with all the Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. Because I mean, I remember. I think there was a whole store that was just Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yep.
At Disneyland. So.
Yeah, and you just see, you know, it's like when you go to a rock and roll show, it's kind of like a fashion faux pas to wear the shirt to the show that you're seeing. Yeah, you're like, oh, what a dork. I don't know what kind of music snobbery that came from, but that's kind of the thing. But you go to Disneyland, and people just put that thing right on, you know. So like right now, everyone's wearing Night Before Christmas. It seems like.
Yeah. That's funny.
But yeah, I remember, you know, 20 some odd years ago when it came out, that was like, oh, that's the movie for the weird kids, you know.
I did go see it myself too, but I don't remember the theater being that, you know, unpacked. But I don't think I was paying attention to like what was a hit or what wasn't back then. You know what I mean? So. Yeah.
No, I didn't either, except for the fact that I was like, how come me and only my 3 other friends like this movie, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think it was because of lack of marketing. If I remember correctly, it was marketed pretty well, wasn't it?
I don't remember that. I think I was too young to care about that part. But
I remember seeing commercials, but
yeah, there were commercials, and then there was somewhere in some box I've got these digital watches from like either Burger King or McDonald's. And I go there just to get these little watches. They're like in the whatever the Happy Meal. But then it kind of just seemed like it just kind of went away, you know, unless you're like a goth kid or, you know, you're some punk dude, you date the goth girl with the Jack Skellington backpack, something, you know, that she found at a Target and didn't exist for 20 more years until after that, you know, and now she's a middle-aged woman. But.
Yeah. I do remember like other people I knew telling me they didn't like it though, because I really liked it at the time, and like I remember my brother telling me that it sucked and stuff. So,
but, I don't know.
Well, the one thing about that is that, you know, it's kind of got this dual holiday thing to it, you know, where like right now it's Halloween, so they've got the ride up, but you know, another well, you guess you got to skip Thanksgiving, but then you've got Christmas, so they'll keep it up for those 3 months, you know.
Well, they put it up in September. I was bummed.
Well,
because I mean, I like the movie, but the original Haunted Mansion is so much better. Every time I go to Disneyland, it seems like they move it up another month, and I'm like, oh, I'm never going to see the original again.
Yeah, I've seen. There was a time when I went to Disneyland like every year, and that's not the case anymore. I haven't been forever, but I've only seen the Nightmare Before Christmas once. But yeah, I think the original is better, but it is kind of cool. I would like to see the Nightmare Before Christmas one again, though, just because I haven't got to see it that one time.
Anyway, so.
But I hope you're not a fan of like Twilight Zone, because I think the Tower of Terror is going to turn into Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, it is. But see, that's another thing. That's like Twilight Zone's an old property that, you know, we like, our parents like, but kids, I don't know if they care.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. You know, like there's is somebody I work with who's in their early 20s that, who was it I was talking to? Didn't even know it was a show.
Man.
Yeah. I was like, all right, we'll see. Everything's got its time.
Well,
So it's up to us, the creators, to make the new next cool thing that will be forgotten about 50 years from now.
Right. I was going to say, it's not really even on TV, like.
You can watch it on You can watch it on Netflix, and I mean they've put it back out a couple of times trying to make new episodes, but I don't know. They just don't. I think they don't capture that. I think you got to have Rod Serling there. So
yeah, I mean that's that thing the entertainment industry needs to know is just like, look, this is a classic show. It's fucking great. The creators dead. The people who all wrote it, they're all dead. You know, time for something new.
Yeah. Well, there is like Black Mirror, which I've seen a couple episodes of, but it's kind of like the modern day, you know, Twilight Zone. So,
yeah, I mean, it's not to say that something like that can't exist again,
right?
But just like make the new thing, make the new twist on it, you know. You know. Anyway, I'm probably gonna start beating a dead horse here pretty quick.
Yeah.
Well, it's.
I don't know. We've covered a bunch of stuff. I forgot we started a little late, but it's 10.
Yeah, I think it's time for us to bounce.
Yeah, but yeah, the chat was hopping. So thank you for everyone in the chat. I'm gonna try to copy this and put this in the actual video. So if you do want to kind of look through the chat, because I feel bad because there's so much good stuff, and you know, unfortunately we can't. You know, it goes by so fast we don't get to see everything, but it is cool that there's so many people in there, so we appreciate it. And I will copy it, and I'll read through all the chat afterwards. So if there's anything that I feel I have to respond to, I can do that. But anyway, so yeah, I think we made an episode out of licensing. And like I said, Kevin kind of brought it back in the end, so that's what we like. So you guys also, if you guys have like questions or suggestions of topics for shows, we're always looking for that kind of stuff. So I think we got an idea for next week's show, but for future shows, yeah, if you guys have questions or anything, let us know. Hit us up. So anyway, Kevin, where can they find you online?
Thanks for asking, Scott. You can find me online at youtube.com/KevinCrossArt, and all the links to all my things, social networks, etc., are underneath each video in the description.
And I'm going to go because we always have Jeff go last because he's got the big pitch. So yeah, I'm Scott. You can find me at Serkworks, and there's just the little lower third graphic there that'll. Well, you're on my channel, so you know where to find me there.
Subscribe.
Yeah, and I also feel bad because I didn't put up any videos this week. There's been stuff going on, kind of personal stuff. But hopefully next week I'll be back to kind of regular schedule and stuff. So So anyway, so I'll apologize about that, but stuff like that happens. But anyway, Jeff, where can they find you, and where can they do it if they want to subscribe to this thing and everything?
Yeah, first off, everybody should subscribe to the newsletter because the show rotates between my channel, Scott's channel, and Kevin's channel. So an easy way to keep up with it is just sign up for the newsletter. The link for the newsletter is down below in the show notes, and I just send out a little note like 15 minutes before the show starts. It says, here's the show starting, and here's where to go. And let's see, my website is jefflafferty.net, and you can find everything about me there. And I don't know, should we say who's going to be on the show next week?
As long as you've confirmed it, yeah, you can mention it.
It is confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah, well, this is going to be exciting for me. I don't know.
We have a special guest next week, which is Mike Emirates of 100 Days of Comics fame. And so be sure and come back next week and sign up for that newsletter. See you guys.
Later.